Just so you know, the part that actually haunts me about this story isn't in the short. It's in here, 12 minutes in.
I want to be precise about what the protocol required, because the precision is what made it feel rigorous enough to trust, and trusting it is what made the outcome possible. The rule was this: for 30 consecutive days, whenever another person stated an opinion, I was not permitted to voice a contradicting view. I could be silent, I could ask a clarifying question, or I could identify and articulate the element of their position I genuinely found reasonable. I was allowed internal disagreement. I was not allowed to express it. Every night before sleep, I scored the effort required on a scale of 1 to 10 in a small brown notebook, and I logged the specific topic that had required the most suppression. I had read 3 papers on perspective-taking and 1 on active listening interventions in couples therapy before I started. The academic framing made it feel safe. The first 4 days were genuinely hard. Effort scores clustered between 7 and 9. My co-worker told me a thing about the housing market that was demonstrably wrong, and I said, "I can see why the data you're looking at points there." And then went to the bathroom and stood with my hands under cold water for about 40 seconds. I logged it. Effort, 9. Topic, interest rates. By day 8, the scores had dropped to the 5 to 6 range, which I interpreted as competence building. The empathy literature predicts this. Practiced perspective-taking is supposed to become easier, like a muscle warming up. I was pleased with myself in the careful, scientific way I'd planned to be pleased. Day 11 is the entry I keep rereading now. The effort score is 4. In the margin I wrote, "starting to see their point before I even find it." I meant it as a good sign. Day 15 brought the first thing I didn't notice until I reviewed the notebook a week later. The column where I'd been logging my own suppressed opinion, the actual position I privately held before I found the agreeable kernel, had started going blank. Not every entry, maybe 3 out of 7 that week. I had agreed, logged the effort, and apparently the original disagreement had not felt important enough to record. I told myself I was getting more efficient. Day 19 is where the structure of the thing changed, though I didn't name it that way at the time. A friend told me, with real conviction, that a person we both knew had acted in bad faith during a situation I had witnessed firsthand. My recollection was different. I know it was different because I had talked about it with another friend the month before, and I'd had a clear, specific account of what I saw. But sitting across from her, finding the agreeable kernel, took maybe 4 seconds, and when I left the coffee shop and tried to reconstruct my original position, it wasn't there. Not suppressed, not waiting, just not there. I searched for it the way you search for a word you know. That specific sensation of reaching for something that should be stored somewhere. I journaled about the incident for 20 minutes that night, and what I produced read like a summary of her account with slightly softer language. Effort score? 2. The last 10 days of the experiment produced effort scores that averaged 1.8. From the outside, this probably looked like extraordinary social grace. I was agreeable at work. I was easy at dinner. A person I'd had low-grade tension with for 2 years told me something had shifted and that I seemed more open. I thanked her and meant it, and I cannot tell you what I would have said to her a month earlier, because I can't find that version of the conversation in myself anymore. The experiment ended on a Saturday. I had planned to allow myself a full disagreement, just to feel the re-entry, the way you'd eat something small after a fast. I had a candidate topic ready, a cultural opinion I held clearly and had suppressed twice during the month. I sat with my notebook and tried to reconstruct the argument I would have made in September. I could not find it. Not the words, the position itself, the felt sense of caring, which way it landed. It has been 11 days since the protocol ended. Some opinions have come back in fragments, like reception returning after a tunnel. I have managed 2 genuine disagreements, both small, both in text, so I had time to locate the feeling before I had to produce it. In person, the latency is longer. I reach for what I think and find a brief, unfamiliar silence before something assembles itself, and I am not certain the thing that assembles is the same thing that would have arrived in October. The papers I read described a temporary intervention. The effect was supposed to be measured in improved social outcomes, not in the structural absence of a position. I have been going back through the research, looking for the part where they account for what happens to the center of the person doing the agreeing. I haven't found it. I'm not sure I was supposed to look there. If you've run something like this, even informally, even by accident, I want to hear what came back and what didn't. There's a part of this I'm not ready to write about yet.
I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. If you find yourself thinking about this one tomorrow, you'll come back. That's how it works.